So with no further ado, let's welcome Mr. Mark Shreffler.
Oh, like I was getting married. I was the bride coming up the aisle. I'm going to take this off.
Okay.
Woo! Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That doesn't warm an audience up. It's good to see you again.
You too. You too.
How many of you are new? How many of you have never been here before? Okay, excellent. Excellent. Couple of points to make as we begin this little tour. This will be a really interesting evening, I assure you. It's always interesting for me. A couple of agreements, if you don't mind, so we all get as much out of this evening as possible. The first, very important, the information we're covering tonight is not true because I tell you that it's true. And it's not true because Ron Hubbard tells us it's true. It's not true for any other reason than you see it to be true for yourself or not. That's up to you. You have to make up your own mind about this stuff. It's a very important point. It's seemingly very obvious, but the fact of the matter is this culture is filled with authorities. People who are quote-unquote experts. Myself, for example. The definition of an expert is someone from out of town with a briefcase. And as a matter of fact, my credentials are right here. Here you are. My credentials are Jack Spade. Thank you very much. I've had it for years. Those are my credentials. Truth is, you don't know who I am or where I come from or where I'm going from here or what my accomplishments have been over the years, and none of that actually matters. The important thing is the information I'm going to cover tonight. You've got to get your own wits around it and make up your own mind about it. You've got to compare it against your own experience and determine whether or not it has value. This is important. This makes you the source of your own education. For reasons we'll discover later in the evening, it becomes more and more important that we all take responsibility for our own understanding. So is it agreeable to everyone, therefore, that you will pay attention for yourself, make up your own mind about this material, yes?
Yes.
Excellent. The second agreement, very important, as we're going across a large amount of information in a short period of time. It's important as we build understandings through the evening that we all get this before we go to the next thing. But it's very important that you understand point A before we go to point B. I know this is an unusual way to educate. Usually in our school systems, people go to first grade and get a C, in my case, and then they go to second grade, third grade, each time getting C, so they sort of are learning half of what they need to know with each level until they get to college, and now they're quite stupid. Took me years to actually get a real education. It was after I left college. So it's a very important thing that you understand what's going on first before we go to the second thing. It's not true unless you see it to be true for yourself. Agreeable?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. So we have a seminar. Now this is an interesting thing. It begins with the most important point. That's not just true of the subject we're covering tonight, but of all subjects everywhere. Now, we're going to do a little demonstration here. I want you to paint a picture in your mind. I'm going to ask you what to put. I'm going to tell you what to put in the picture, and as you add these things into the picture, then we'll all, at the end of this exercise, have the same picture we'll be looking at. Is that agreeable to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, everybody, show me your hand when you have a blank picture, a blank screen. Blank screen in your mind. Hold up your hand when it's blank. Okay, now put some trees in the picture. Good. Put a house in the picture. Good. Put a river in the picture. Excellent. Are you making the picture, you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Put a mountain range in the picture. Good. Put a dove in the picture.
Okay.
Dove.
What the heck?
Put a dove in the picture.
Dove.
A dove.
What the heck? What is it?
A dove. Oh.
What the heck?
Well, what occurred just then was the production stopped.
Amen.
Interesting. It didn't stop right away because I said put a dove in your picture. Most of you put your hand up thinking I said dove, which is a bird.
Yep.
And this is a very important thing. and this is your first understanding of the evening. When people don't understand what you're saying, they make up stuff. And they stuff it in to all the cracks they don't understand. Does that make sense to you all?
Yes.
If I don't quite understand what you're telling me, I'll just make up what I think you're saying. And I will go forward from that point on thinking that that is what you said, and I will swear to God, because my reality is, you said dove. And when I come back later and say, why did you put a dove in the picture? Well, you said to put a dove in the picture. Why would I want a dove in the picture? I wanted a dove in the picture. That's right! I put a dove in the picture! No, a dove, D-U-B. It's a dove. This is a Scottish word meaning a small pool of water. Small pool of water. That's very different than a dove.
Yeah.
We could spend, honestly, and we have, days on this particular point. I did a little talk for some years ago to 27 of the senior marketing vice presidents for the corporation. It was an unbelievable event in that this particular datum was not known by them. We started off the event by saying, okay, just so we're all on the same page, they thought we were going to be working on our PowerPoint presentations or something. We hadn't actually figured out what we're going to be talking about today. That's what we're going to establish up front. So I said, what is the definition of marketing that we're going to be, that you guys use here? And I'm asking 27, the senior marketing vice president. Then they started opening their computers and, dropping their pens. Just like I used to do in school. When the teacher would ask a question, I would drop my pencil on the ground, and I would get down behind all the heads in front of me. 27 of the senior marketing vice presidents. Down, looking for their pen on the floor. I couldn't believe it. I almost had to laugh and said I was so amazed. I said, okay, anybody, I'll turn my back, anybody just toss out the definition of marketing that we all agree is being used here at Sony. Go ahead, just anybody. Click, take. I said, okay, how about if I provide one? And I opened the dictionary that I had on hand, and I read a definition of marketing that we could use. And they went, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's what we can use. It was a 5-hour workshop covering this subject. And it absolutely remodeled that entire division of the corporation. Completely changed the way they do business. Thank you, Albert. Thank you for the credit. It was quite an accidental discovery. But it turns out that many people don't realize that when you pass a word you don't understand, you get confused. Just like that. Very few people in our culture realize that the only reason that a person gives up on a subject he was once interested in is that he passed words in the subject he didn't understand. There are no other reasons. Even when you hear it, you go, oh, that certainly couldn't be true. How many of you in the room have ever found yourself reading and you get to the bottom of a page and can't remember what you read on the page? What? You passed a word earlier that you didn't understand. And I don't want you to believe this. I don't want you to believe this because I'm telling you it's true. Mr. Hubbard made this discovery in 1964. So what? If it's not true for you, it's not true. Something is only useful if you can apply it, and with this application, produce a benefit. This is one piece of information that I have found probably to be the most useful in my life. With my children, my son comes home from school. Say, what'd you learn today, Evan? Nothing, Dad. I recognize he's telling me the truth. And it took me a while to get that. Because he started every day with, my country takes a beat. So he didn't know what tissavee meant. Never heard that word before. And another word completely stumped him. Elemento. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Of course, when you don't read and you don't see these things separated out, elemental is just another word to you. Lost my 5th and 6th grade education because of that. How many of you ever found yourself tired while you're reading? Why do you think you read before you go to bed? And the more technical the book, the faster you go to sleep. Just knocks you right out. This is a very important piece of information. If I pass any word tonight that you don't understand, you'll check out. You'll find yourself thinking of something else. Your attention will go out the window. In other words, you will experience all of the phenomena that are described in a thing called a pharmacopoeia, which is a dictionary of medical terms used to describe which medicine you would use to handle which condition. And the medicine that would describe that condition, the condition being a thing called attention deficit disorder, would be Ritalin. And now you will take a drug for that instead of look up the dang word.
Amen. That's right.
So we are stupidifying our culture by not understanding the real source of problems, the real source of things. And this point of stupidity actually comes down to misunderstood words. It's quite fantastic. Do not believe me because I'm telling it to you, though I am, as I have demonstrated, an expert in this field. I can't tell you how many lives have been saved by this piece of information, but you've got to make it true for yourself. You've got to go out and just try it out. Pick up a book, read it. You get a little dull, go back, find the words you didn't understand, and bingo. It's like dub. Everybody put a dub in your picture and hold up your hand. All right, now put a sun up in the sky. Show me your hand. And we're producing again. We're producing again. I go into businesses all the time and look at the production of businesses, and when you see it booming along, and suddenly it goes and crashes out the bottom, I guarantee you there's a misunderstood word there. There might be other things wrong too, but I guarantee you there's a misunderstood word. Misunderstood words are just fundamental to so many problems that we have in our society. And I bring it up here first because wouldn't you agree that we're using a lot of possibly new words tonight? And if you pass one, which I'm going to be particularly attentive, it doesn't happen, but if I do pass a word that you don't understand, please raise your hand. I guarantee you, if you don't understand it, there will be 10 other people in this room I know that won't, probably including myself. I do that sometimes. You ever heard somebody saying things that were very intelligent, and you got the idea, hey, does he know what he's talking about? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've heard that 5 times.
Wow.
Teachers.
Yeah, when you get teachers up in front of classrooms lecturing. In fact, when my son was, we were in a new school system in Australia, in Brisbane, Australia. And we had to look into the entire school system, and nobody knew this. My wife started homeschooling the kids at that point because we didn't have time to fix the whole school system. But we don't send our children to school to be babysat. They're going there to get an education. This is a very important thing. So, as you're sitting there tonight, if you find yourself checking out, just recognize you probably passed a word you didn't understand. Check yourself back in. And if I pass one, will you raise your hand?
Yes.
Great. And it can very easily be a common word. How many of you know the word peruse? Ever heard the word peruse? What does the word peruse mean? Anybody shout it out?
Look over something briefly.
Briefly look through it, scan over. How many of you agree with it? Very good. It's incorrect, but thank you for playing. But you poll 98% of the people. What does the word peruse mean? You'll say, oh, it's being scanned over briefly. Peruse. This is right out of the Oxford. Read through thoroughly. Read for detail. From the late 15th century word meaning to use up or wear out completely.
Whoa.
Thanks for helping.
I've never used it. I've never seen that word.
Yeah. you get the idea of this. It's not always the technical words, it's the words you thought you understood. This is a very commonly misunderstood word. Now, if you look in any dictionary written in the last 5 years, there will be another definition in there, which is described in a certain way, that says commonly believed to mean to scan over briefly. This, however, is an incorrect definition as the history of this. But when you find that most people misunderstand it this way, then when they say, would you peruse this for me, you both understand the same thing incorrectly. But do you see the barrier this puts between people? You get two people who are having... How many of you are married? How many of you looked up the word marriage in the dictionary? Did y'all hear me okay? Yeah. How many of you have not looked up the word marriage in the dictionary? Oh, jeez. They were just kind of winging it. Yeehaw!
Doesn't it mean the happy time period, the merry age?
Generally, it means something like living with somebody you hate and then giving her a house.
Having a home.
Oh, I'll tell you, the definitions change from one marriage to the next. But it would be very different in our culture. We wouldn't have this 52% and rising divorce rate if people started off with an understanding of what it was they were getting into. I mean, you wouldn't professionally do something that you didn't understand. When you do anything you don't understand, it comes to a bad result. What's the definition of husband? What is the definition of father? What is the definition of wife? What is the definition of mother? What is the definition of parent? Just looking at simple words like this can change your universe. And absolutely, I've gone into businesses where the statistics in an area were crashing and just sat down with the people in the area and had them look up the words that describe the area in a dictionary, which caused the turnaround.
Wow.
Now, I don't want you to believe this material. What will happen very commonly is it's just too incredible to believe. It can't be that simple. I assure you it's that simple. I assure you it's that simple. For example, if you have a politician who's handling finance, you suppose it might be possible these people don't have any idea what they're doing. You follow? If they knew what they were doing, they would show a competent result at the other end of the line. The simple thing is they just go back and look at the words. Look up the words. How do we get into this mess? Now, I'm not saying this to get political or anything, but isn't it true that the document, for example, of the United States is the Constitution? How many of these people do you suppose have actually read and understood the Constitution? You know, this is why Daniel Webster wrote his dictionary, his 1826 dictionary, one I highly recommend, by the way. He wrote the dictionary because he said people do not understand the Bible and they don't understand the Constitution. And that's why he wrote his dictionary, because people must understand these two documents. That was his entire motivation. Clear up the confusion. Okay, so we all get peruse?
Yes.
Is this interesting information for you?
Definitely.
Fascinating. And boy, with your kids, it'll just... It's a huge, huge breakthrough for kids going into school. Do not, I mean, a teacher will stand up in front of the room and you watch this teacher teaching, and he's using words that I don't understand. And these are 6th graders. You follow? You have teachers that are mindful of those words, and they are always, that's the first place they look for difficulty. When a child's attention wanders out the window, you don't send him to the principal's office, you find out what word he passed that he doesn't understand.
That's right.
I'd like to go into every church in the world and preach this datum to all the members of that church. And they would go out into their communities and bring about a much higher standard of living, higher standard of education, understanding, and so on. Do you agree?
Yes.
Couldn't you see that happen? For want of this one piece of information, the whole world could spin in a different direction. Anyway,